Yes, sir. Big Rob the Motivator with ya. Welcome to episode 3 of the Claim Who You Are podcast. Recorded with much love and respect from the city of Chi-Town, Chicago. Want to give a quick shout out to everyone that's listening on the East Coast, West Coast, and around the world. Thank you so much for joining me today on this weekly podcast. And a big quick shout out. Every week I want to shout out entrepreneurs that are doing their thing, that aren't making excuses, that are out there grinding for their families, for themselves, for their dreams. So a quick shout out to Jose A. Ruiz, which just so happens to be my big brother. Big shout out to him. He is not only county sheriff for the sheriff's department, but he is the owner of J. Ruiz Realty, home based on the south side of Chicago, but has happy customers all over the city, north side, far south side, even in some suburbs and different states. So check him out, find him on Facebook or just Google J. Ruiz Realty. If you're looking for a new home, he'll help you out. Big shout out to the big bro. So we're going to get right into it. We are talking about, so the theme this week is You Love Poverty. That is this week's theme. You love poverty. I want you to let that marinate for a little bit. Think about that. When we think of poverty, many times we think about money, finances, economically. And that's just a small part of poverty. That's just a tiny part of it. I'm going to just touch a little bit on that, on the money side of it, because that's not really 100% what I am referring to. I am also referring to being morally bankrupt, mentally bankrupt, emotionally bankrupt, physically bankrupt. That kind of poverty. The kind of poverty that really not too many people talk about. We hear a lot more about the financial side of it and the devastating effects that not having that cash flow has on our families, on our peace of mind, and and it's real. It's not something that's imagined. It's not something that you only hear in the news. Sometimes we see it amongst our own family and friends. This financial poverty and just being in a situation where they're just not quite making ends meet. And nobody loves to be broke, and that's not what I'm referring to today. We all want to pay our bills, we all want to be there for our families, and we want to move forward in life financially. But the poverty that I'm referring to is the kind that we can really do something about today, that we can really change right this very second if we will ourselves in that direction. Sometimes the financial poverty, it takes time, right? It takes time to rectify. It takes time to get that raise, to get that promotion, to get into a situation where now you are finally paying your bills, you're stacking up your money in your savings account, in your checking account, your credit score looks good. It takes time sometimes to get to that point in your life. But let's talk about emotional poverty. Emotional poverty, let's think about Facebook for a hot second. When you see somebody going on Facebook complaining day in and day out about the relationship that they are in, about the person that they have been with for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and has not changed. And they go on Facebook and they talk about this individual that is sucking the life force out of them, but yet they stay in this situation. And I know sometimes it's hard to leave. I understand that. I understand that sometimes you have children involved. You have much more at stake than what people truly realize. But I also know that there are people that have escaped that situation, that have done something about it, that have stopped the excuses and moved on from that emotional poverty. And when I say you are in love with the poverty, it means that you don't really have a plan in place to move forward. Let me say that one more time. You don't have a plan in place to move forward. Being morally bankrupt. Let's talk about that. When you are willing to lie, cheat, and steal to get what you want, to get ahead, to get the success that you desire, that's being morally bankrupt. When you will do absolutely anything to get ahead, not caring who's in the way, not caring who gets destroyed on your path to your success. That's being morally bankrupt. And some are in love with that power, that evil power. They'll do anything to get ahead, not knowing that once they get to where they are because they got there through cheating or lying or stealing, you have a debt to pay to this thing called karma. Let me say that one more time. When you get to where you are and you feel successful and you feel I finally arrived, but you got there through lying, stealing, cheating, destroying people along the way, you have a debt to pay. You may not pay that debt in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, but believe me, karma has a way of catching up to the debt that you owe. Let's talk about physical bankruptcy. Physical bankruptcy. In your mind, in your heart, you know that you need to get healthy. You need to get fit. You need to get your health in order. You're at work 9 hours, 10 hours. You come home. You sit on the couch. You watch TV until you pass out. You go to sleep. The next day you do the exact same thing. You eat fast food every day, fried foods every day, or most of the time. Foods that you know are not good for you. In your mind, you know that you want to get healthy, you want to get fit, but you are in love with the physical poverty part of it. You're in love with the comfort. You're in love with the easy way out, the easy meals that just go through the drive-thru 5 minutes. You're in love with that aspect of it. So it's easy for you to slip up and get into that physical bankruptcy that you're in right now. Let's talk about mental bankruptcy. Mental bankruptcy is when you only fill your mind, your ears, your heart, your soul with things, with images, with music that does not edify your spirit. What do I mean by that? When you're not reading books to better yourself, when you're not listening to music that is uplifting, when you're not writing things that are helping society or helping yourself or helping your mind, you are mentally bankrupt. You are allowing these negative images, negative sounds to enter into your spirit. We got the mental, the physical, the emotional bankruptcy. All of this is poverty. These are all different forms of poverty. We have these dreams, these desires, these wants that we claim that we want to reach, but every single day, Monday through Sunday, we allow ourselves either emotionally, physically, mentally to stay in this bankruptcy, to stay in this poverty and make excuses for ourselves as to why we're not getting ahead, as to why we're not moving forward. We blame somebody else. Some people have absolutely no mirrors in their homes. They have absolutely no mirrors in their homes. Because it's easy to blame somebody. It's easy to say, well, it's my baby's father. It's my baby's mother. It's my financial situation. It's where I live. It's how I grew up. It's my education. It's my family. It's my circle. It's everybody but yourself. When you blame other things, when you blame other people, when you blame other circumstances other than who is sitting and standing in the mirror, that means you are in love with your current poverty. And there's only one way to break that cycle. There is absolutely only one way to break that cycle. And it comes down to self-accountability. It comes down to being responsible for your own failure. It comes down to admitting I failed. I'm acting, I'm being, I'm talking, I'm thinking like a failure. It comes down to that, and that's hard. It's hard for us to admit that we are failing at something. It is hard for us to admit that we are coming up short time and time again. No matter how hard we think we're trying, we're coming up short. And it's hard to look in that mirror and say, man, you know what? I've been blaming everybody, but this person is staring right back at me. I've been blaming my mom. I blame my dad. I blamed all the abuse that I went through as a child. I blame the gang-banging neighborhood that I grew up in. I blame all the domestic violence. I blame not having money growing up. I blame the alcoholism. I blame the drug abuse. I blame racism. I blame sexism. I blame everything for my failures today. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that you're not going through pain. I'm not saying that you are not going through tragedy. What I am saying is that your goal, your dream, where you need to be, where you find that peace of mind, outweighs everything that you're going through right now. It outweighs everything that you have been through in your life. You need to remember how it felt when you first created your dream. How it felt when this thought, this energy was conceived in your brain. Try to go back to that moment in time when you had that moment and said, wow, that's what I want to do. That's who I want to be. That is the living that I want to be involved with. Take it back to that time. I'll give you a moment. Think about that time. Think about that moment. You could have been in the bed, almost asleep, staring at the ceiling when it came to you. You could have been staring out the window, daydreaming when it came to you. You could have been in a conversation with someone, not really paying attention to what they're saying, just drifting off into outer space, thinking about that thing, that moment. And you couldn't wait to get home. You couldn't wait to write about it, to break it down into a blueprint, a plan. You couldn't wait. But then something seeps in. It's called doubt. It's called I don't have time. It's called I gotta take care of my kids. It's called I got class tonight. It's called the family's coming over. It's called a birthday barbecue. It's called we're going on vacation. It's called my foot hurts. My belly hurts. My head hurts. It's called I have a doctor's appointment. All the excuses start to creep up and your dream takes a seat in the back burner. And after 2 weeks, a month, 2 years, 10 years have gone by, you think about all the reasons why you couldn't do it. You think about all the reasons that held you back. And most of those reasons are projected on others. Most of those reasons have nothing to do with I messed up. I I am in this position right now today. I am unhappy. I have no joy. I can't get up in the morning with motivation, with inspiration, because I messed up. I can't do it because it's my fault. We need to admit that it's comfortable. It feels good not to go through the fire, not to go through the pain, through the hard work that we have to go through to get to that next level. It's easy to watch Netflix for 5 hours. It's easy to jump in the car, go by the lakefront, and do nothing all day long, all afternoon. That's easy. It's hard to tell your friends no, your family no, I can't make it this weekend. I'm working on my dream, my blueprint, my goal. I'm working on my peace of mind. I'm working on my joy. I'm working on my happiness. I'm working on my family. I'm working on my marriage. I'm working on my spirituality. Do you hear what I'm saying? It takes a champion to tell people no. It takes a champion to follow your dream, your passion. It's easy to be a loser. Believe me, it's easy. It's easy to give up. It's easy to quit. That's why so many people do it. It's an epidemic out there. That's why so many people are in the position that they're in, because it's hard to go through the fire. You know you're going to feel that pain. And some of us don't want to feel that pain. Some of us don't want to only get 3-4 hours of sleep because it's time to grind. Some of us don't want to skip that barbecue. We don't want to skip that vacation. We want to make excuses, look at our bank account and see the red all up and down and blame somebody else. And I'm not talking about the bank account at Bank of America or Chase. I'm talking about the bank account in your life. It's red. It's time to get back into the black. It's time to be rich mentally, rich physically, rich emotionally. And it begins with a choice. It begins with decisions. It begins with telling people no. It begins with telling everybody around you that is trying to get you to do the wrong thing. It takes being brave enough to say, I can't deal with you right now. I love you. I know that we got a tight bond, but right now I can't deal with you. I need to work on me because I've been letting myself down. I need to work on myself. Before I give you love, before I can help you out, before I can do anything for you, I need to work on myself. Some of us are forgetting to work on ourselves. Come on now. I know this mic is working today. I don't even need to ask you. We need to escape and get away from being in love with poverty, from being okay with mediocre, from just being comfortable where we are right now. Let's get a little bit uncomfortable. Let's go through that fire. Let's remember what it was like when we first came up with that dream, that goal. 10 years, even if it's 20 years ago. Some of us listening right now, it's been about 30, 40 years for you. And you haven't moved on your dream. You haven't moved on your goal. Life is passing you by. I don't care how old you are. If you're 15 listening or 50, I'm talking to you. Stop making excuses. I have a daughter. I have a wife. I have a responsibility every single day to them. And I can't sit here talking about I can't do it, I won't do it because I'm too busy with other things, because I just don't feel like it, because I have a migraine, because I have a doctor's appointment. I can't do that to them. They're counting on me every single day to bring 1,000. I'll ask you right now, do you hear what I'm saying? They're expecting me to bring 1,000 every single day. Not just every other Wednesday, not when I feel like it, not when I feel good, not when the money is right. They're expecting me to bring the heat every single time. And and I gotta bring it. I gotta give them their best. And it starts with giving myself the best. I just recently went back to the gym because that physical poverty was starting to come in. You hear what I'm saying? That physical poverty was starting to come in when my weight was going up, cholesterol going up, blood pressure going up, eating habits going down the toilet. That physical poverty was starting to take a hold, and I said, no, wait a minute. Wait a second. You ain't gonna trick me. Physical poverty, you ain't gonna trick me. So I had to change my diet. I had to hit the gym hard. I had to get back to getting on that bike. I had to get back to getting that right sleeping routine. Because my little girl was gonna expect me to be in shape to be able to keep up with her. When it comes to that point when we're in the park, I need to be in shape to be able to keep up with her so that she's not wondering, well, what's wrong with daddy? What's going on? Is he sad? Is he mad at me? Do you hear what I'm talking about? Your kids sometimes look at you and they think that they did something wrong because they see you in this state of mind. They see your depression. They see your sadness. They see your frustration. And they're wondering, what did I do wrong? Your kids should not be wondering what they did wrong because you have chosen to be bankrupt. They should look at you and say, I want to be just like mom. I want to be just like dad. Stop putting stuff on your kids, man. Stop making them see you crying and suffering all the time. Sometimes we got to go through that fire behind a closed door. Straight up. Do you hear me? Sometimes we have to go through that fire behind a closed door. Stop letting everybody see your tears. Trying to get that sympathy. Trying to get that what? That pat on the back. It's gonna be okay. Look, man, I know sometimes we need people there for us to support us and build us up. But when all they see is us suffering, us crying, us asking for help all the time, that's not helping anybody out. It's not helping you out, and it's not helping your friends and family out, and it sure isn't helping your kids out. They need to see you as a pillar of strength. They need to see you as the head of the house, as the leader of the house. And sometimes that takes closing the door and going through that pain a little bit by yourself behind closed doors. When your kids are old enough to understand what you're going through, maybe you can have conversations with them. But don't do that to the little ones. Make sure that they're growing up in a house full of joy, happiness, music, dancing, support, togetherness. That's what I'm talking about. That's the family right there. That's what it needs to be. That's what it should be. Let's make a decision. Let's make a choice to continue to be champions. To live a life full of wealth. Everybody can be wealthy. Everybody can be wealthy because it's not all about money. There is far greater wealth than money. Thank you all for joining me. Soon we'll be on episode 4. Thank you all so much. This is Big Rob the Motivator with ya. Peace.